Radio Freedom.
Good evening, audience, voters, taxpayers, friends, Americans, and countrymen in Seattle, Mercer Island, Bellevue, Redmond, Issaquah, and on the east side and I-5 corridors, many local cities. Welcoming tonight's Matthew Melton's Democracy
we can
Show
hear you still.
on AM 1150, featuring Liberal Democratic talk show host Matthew Melton, broadcasting live Sunday nights from the 425 with his inductive and often insightful reasoning skills, political commentary, and opinions on a wide range of American and international political topics, and some mainstream media topics which are not political in nature, but still in current media. I hope that you're happy to be listening to American Talk Radio at its finest, because I'm happy to be here as your host this evening. So get ready, and I'll be right back. Good evening, AM Talk listeners in Seattle, Bellevue, Redmond, Issaquah, Greater East Side, and I-5 corridor. This is Matthew Melton of Matthew Melton's Democracy Show, here on Sunday nights at AM 1150. And do you need moving help right now? Well, if you do, call haulit.co.com. That's all lowercase, HAULITCO.com. That's right, haulit.co.com for your local moves, moving help, and also your small interior moves. Call haulit.co.com at 425-753-1743 for friendly, affordable moving service. Use our backs, save yours. But sometimes last-minute moves are okay. Just call and ask at 425-753-1743. That's haulit.co.com and ask for Dave. We're moving people to new places, so let's get moving.
Hello, Alternative Talk Radio listeners. This is Matthew Melton, your host of Matthew Melton's Democracy Show, live here on Sunday nights on 1150 AM KKNW. And I want to tell you about this great new app. It's called Churchill, and it's at the Apple App Store now. And I also have to tell you that you're going to love it. People out there are out of work right now, and it's pretty to be frugal in my opinion. So I'm going to lay it on the line. Why buy when you can rent? Also, do you want to make a few bucks or more? Maybe listing things that you own but don't use much, like mountain bikes, kayaks, motorcycles, hoverboards, and you name it. It can be a rental on Sureganic.com. That's Sureganic, now the #1 app to buy, sell, trade, rent, and rent out items. Download Sureganic today in the Apple App Store or go to Sureganic.
All right, Matthew, there's about a minute and a half to go. Are you ready?
Yeah, I believe I am. Ooh.
Matthew?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Did you say that was on me? Are you ready?
Oh, yeah, I can be ready right now.
Okay, there's about a minute left, so.
Want to know who is tops in home organizing and as a local cleaning service in Seattle? Try Seattle Home Organizing Whiz. That's Seattle Home Organizing Whiz at 206-430-0240, and you'll be impressed by the courteous and hardworking staff who want to take on all of your tough jobs, as well as one-time appointments and weekly and bi-monthly and monthly scheduled cleanings. Seattle Home Organizing Whiz also wants to organize your home and office. Call them at 206-430-0240. That's 206-430-0240. Seattle Home Organizing Whiz. That's all lowercase. And ask for Danina.
About 10 seconds.
Make us part of your daily routine. Alternative Talk 1150.
Whistling tunes, we're kissing baboons in the jungle. It's a knockout. If looks could kill, they probably will in games without frontiers.
Good evening. Live Alternative Talk Radio listeners. This is Matthew Melton, your host of Matthew Melton's Democracy Show, back for another exciting show this Sunday evening in Puget Sound. And I hope that you're in for some hot political talk. And I guess my top topics have to be that, #1, we have a president who doesn't want to concede. And #2, another Iranian general assassination. And there are some worries about retaliation because of this. So tonight I'm bringing on a man who knows these issues, and we're going to talk about it. And then I'm going to give you listeners a chance to call in and speak your mind on the air. Tell us what you think. Tell me what kind of a show I'm running here. Do you like it? And just feel free to be a caller tonight when I give out the station numbers and ask for people to chime in, and we're happy to listen to what you have to say and answer as well as we can. So, introducing Dr. Pano Churchill, grandson of victorious World War leader Winston Churchill. He's also the father of the Lincoln Party of Independence in Washington, D.C. Welcome, Dr. Churchill.
Oh, hello, Matthew. And very pleased to be with you on the show again today. And God willing, we will continue this to great success in the future. Hello.
Yes, and so nice to have you back again. And you're an expert on these issues. And so I'm gonna throw out some questions that we've already covered, but the audience hasn't heard any of this yet. So it's going to sound redundant, I'm sure. And I'm sorry we're getting started a little bit late tonight. Had some technical difficulties. I so wish that we could be in the studio right now, but we still have to use this conference link. And I definitely had a little software issue tonight. It's a little glitch, so we're getting a late start, but we're gonna make this show happen tonight. So you know that the president's been very, very vocal about not wanting to concede his loss. So here's what I have to say about it before I ask you to answer any questions. The Electoral College is voting on December 14th, and as I understand it, the final say so from the Electoral College of the whatever their outcome is not until January 8th. So I say, I'm playing devil's advocate because I'm a Democrat. You're a independent. You don't really choose sides. However, you have a preference. You don't have to say. I would say as a party father, maybe you don't want to. But here it is. Laying it on the line. President Trump has every right to say that he has not lost the election because merely he has lost the popular vote. And is that correct?
I think, as a matter of record, it is well known that in this election, our 7.5 million votes, they went for the winner, the ticket of Mr. Biden and Mrs. Harris. And it's no secret that in the prior elections, we had initially supported our friend Bernie Sanders. And when the primary election was stolen from him, we actually supported the Republican candidate, Donald Trump. So we shift according to preferences, situations, conditions on the ground, and we also shift based on personalities. We try to avoid corruption. We very much dislike the theft of votes that occurred against Bernie Sanders on the first round of the primaries of the Democratic Party back in 2016, and we would never support that level of corruption. So we shifted on the other side and we gave our 7.5 million votes to President Trump. But this time, he's proven over 4 years in office that there was a certain amount of incompetency on his behalf and a lot of megalomania and a lot of self-serving interests while in office. And therefore, we could never support him afterwards. So this time we supported the ticket of Harris and Biden. And as you notice, where the independents go, that's where the victory goes. It is no secret that the largest voting bloc in the United States today is the bloc of the independents. Not just our measly 7.5 million, but the rest of the independents who amount to the vast majority who are not affiliated strongly with any one of the political parties. So let that be a lesson for democracy and for the future, that it is always incumbent on pleasing the people who place you on the lead position that the next election will hinge upon. And that was a lesson that Donald Trump, who is a neophyte in politics, did not even understand. So his lack of comprehension of electoral politics, I believe, cost him this election. And although he has a admittedly very big mouth and a lot of fingers hitting the Twitter keys on his mobile phone, the fact is that he had started the process of transition. He has given the GSA, the administration, the go-ahead so they can do, and they support Mr. Biden and Mrs. Harris in the transition process to the next presidency. So with all his talk and all his bravado, he only wants to motivate his own people so he can remain relevant, not for this election so much, but he wants to go down presenting a fighting front so he can have another chance in 2024 because he wants to make some kind of a comeback. Long time from now, 4 years in politics, it could be, 10,000 light years in real life among the celestial objects of our universe. Nobody knows what will be happening in 4 years, but at least for now, we are in a transition. It's a peaceful and happy process, and it will transpire in proper time and in due course, so we can have an inauguration on January 20th. Having said that, God bless all of us, and let's keep to maintain our cheer, our peacefulness, and above all else, our humility and certain respect for the other side. No matter what, this is the message. Stay respectful, stay peaceful, and stay cognizant that tomorrow is going to be better than today.
Well, thank you, Dr. Churchill. That's some wisely placed words, and I would say that I should hope that our president is able to put on his big boy pants, as they say, and concede. However, we don't know which way this electoral college is going to vote yet, and I will hope that they will follow their own state's laws and not cross over and vote according to their own beliefs or conscience or intuition on voting day. And furthermore, the end of it all is not until January 8th, I understand. And for the presumed president-elect Biden to be coming out and behaving as though he's already a president-elect, he's definitely taking office. I think it's premature, although I am a Democrat and I do support the Democratic candidates. But I do wish them well. I wish our Joe Biden and Kamala Harris well, and I hope that they're able to successfully be inaugurated and to enter into the White House and not feel that they're in a state of quasi civil war with these unruly Republican Party right wingers. I would say
I don't think that is a problem now. As I see the things and as I understand the transition process having started, there is no turning back. So let us all just remain calm and optimistic, and everything will happen very, very much in order. The only thing I must say, the Donald is a boon to the newspapers, to the journalists, to the media, and he continues to play that role because he loves the ratings. So every upset that he causes to a whole bunch of people, obviously, this increases his ratings. So he still believes that he is a television star. And that's where he's going back to. He maintains his soul as a producer and as a participant in The Apprentice, and I think we're going to see him on the television to continue his career. But he's not going anywhere else. This is his next lily pad, back to where he started as the leader of The Apprentice show on NBC or whatever channel will carry it forward. So we will be seeing the Donald in a different capacity, telling people that they are hired or they are fired, and he will continue being a source of entertainment for the foreseeable future.
So do you think this is a ham it up thing for the president
obviously.
at all? And does he want to go down like a Western, like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid? Does he want to go down swinging? Is that the point?
No, he's not brave enough to do that. He's just all for the show. It's all about the big ratings, the show, and remaining relevant for the near future. That's all there is.
Okay, I say that he has a right to do that. I'm playing devil's advocate here, but I say that, he can do that if he wants. I probably a month ago, I had been saying, hey, let's get the National Guards activated and just on standby. But far be it from me to make a fire call. I don't want to be responsible for making that call. If I feel like it's needed, I guess I just have to. And if I have to go to prison to defend this country, I guess I do. But I would say right now, in your opinion as a party leader, you don't think that call needs to be made to blue states governors? You don't think that we need to have those National Guard troops activated to defend the capitals and the major cities of the blue states?
No. Everything that goes
From
about
what you've told me, you said
everything that
yes.
goes on about Donald Trump is aside. So, as a matter of fact, from inside information, in the Trump Tower, he is revamping the 13th floor where he's going to host his show, The Apprentice, again. So, those are good indications from the carpenters, swinging hammers and nailing nails and making, construction, that he's ready to put the stage back on for The Apprentice. Everything else is, just like I said, part of the show. As a country, we have far more important things to do than chasing these ghosts and these chimeras of fear and panic of people, because we have some serious headwinds facing, especially on the issue of Islamic fascist terrorism from the theocratic regimes.
Okay, we're going to get into that in the second half, Dr. Churchill.
So I think we should focus.
We're just going to focus on Trump right now.
We should, yes, of course. And let's focus
to concede
on
or
him
not to concede. That is the question.
And wish him luck on his next stage in life, which is The Apprentice show, and this time maybe he will include political
I'll wish him all the luck he needs. Yes. If you'll allow a peaceful transition,
I think
we don't have to go to blows. Then I wish him luck. Move on. Just thank you. And you were not a great president, but your followers love you. So there it is.
Indeed,
there you have it.
And it is already happening, as you know. The transition has begun, and there is nothing stopping it. And the fact of the matter remains that it is a humorous situation, if nothing else, and you should not pay too much attention to it, because you're going to avoid any kind of panic at this moment. Let's allow things to unfold as best they can, and this is a rear guard action to protect his behind as he's stepping on to the next phase of his life. And like you said, let's wish him well and let's support him in this transition, because as a man, he's done the best he can. He's done the best he could, and hopefully he will continue doing the best he can for the Republic without rancor, without division, and with a certain degree of magnanimity that is required by every outgoing president. So he will hang on the keys until the last day, and then he will turn over the keys to the House to Mr. Biden. And of course, he will leave him a very nice letter inside the front drawer of the Resolute desk inside the Oval Office, and everything will be remembered well, and they're going to shake hands and they will go their separate ways. This is a peaceful transition. Let no one tell you different. Things are moving as they were expected to, and we are going to have a bright day to deal with our situations in the future, maybe with a different set of hands on the wheel, but nonetheless, the continuation of the American policies will be unchanged to the greatest possible degree.
I want to see Democrats move in peacefully, of course, and start putting the pieces back together after this COVID mess. It's been a mess, and with 50 million people facing poverty in America, we need some strong leadership to come in. And pardon me, I need to put out the station numbers. I know that I neglected to do that. So if you're out there in the listening audience and you'd like to chime in, like to talk about anything pertaining to the transition of power, and do you think that the president is going to peacefully allow for the inauguration without contesting it into 2022? Station numbers are 425-373-5527 and toll free in Western Washington, 888-298-5569. And if you have a pencil or a pen, please get it out. I'll say this again, write it down. Tell the station numbers one more time, and feel free to chime in right now if you'd like to talk about anything that we've talked about since the beginning of the show, which is all pertaining to transition of power. And of course, Dr. Churchill's been speaking, and he's enlightened me to many things, because I just like you, I don't know what to believe. I've been reading, things in the major media that are pointing to, hey, we could be going to some type of a civil war over this inauguration. I have no idea. Station numbers again, 425-373-5527, toll free in Western Washington, 888-298-5569. Feel free to chime in. Let's talk about the upcoming inauguration. Let's talk about what's happening today. these false signals that the Office of the President have been putting out. Why is he doing it? And of course, Dr. Churchill's offered some unique explanations for that activity this evening, and I really appreciate that. It clears up a few things in my mind and clears my concern list. I don't necessarily believe that we need to have the National Guard locked and loaded and and standing in defense of the governor's office. Not tonight, anyways. Not at the moment.
Yes.
So
today also is the first Sunday of the Advent. So as Christian peoples, we get through, this new calendar, and this is all about change. When the Advent rolls around, it's all about change. So we are in a good space. I think as a country, we are going through a regular change at the helm, and I think only good things can come out of it, because governments in a democracy need to change often in order to remain fresh. Otherwise,
and that was my next question, whether you thought that we should be changing leadership as often as we do in our modern country. And it made good sense back when they planned this democracy. But in modern America, is it good to change our major leadership as often as every 4 years or every 8 years, if they're since 2 terms is the legal limit?
I agree. It's done very wisely, and since electors and of course the voters, they have to take their choice every 4 years for a presidential candidate, the system is well designed in order to prevent abuses of power. So every 4 years you get a chance to refresh, and once you hit refresh, well, good things come out of it, always. And it's sometimes like refreshing your computer when you have too many tabs open and the whole system crashes and is not behaving well. Well, then you shut it down and you start again, and there you go. You have a fresh beginning. And I believe that this is a very good thing. And only when you have an exceptional individual at the helm who has done good job, who has performed well, and who is understood to need to finish the term performing better things for the Republic, then the voters reward that person with a second term. But this is not the rule. The rule is 4 years and then elections. So we have a good system. Let's not knock it. It's very good. It's working for us. It's worked for us quite a while now. So I think we can allow it to continue, tinkering away successfully.
Okay. Well, I would say that was very well said, well spoken, and thank you, Dr. Churchill. We're getting close to the bottom of the hour, and I didn't get any callers. So if you'd like to call in after commercial break, feel free to call in. You can still talk about any issues surrounding the election that we covered tonight, or if you want to talk about something unique, your unique observation, any concerns that you have about transition of power, feel free to call in on that. And when I come back from break, Dr. Churchill will be back, and we will be talking about the crisis with Iran. And of course, if you've watched major media news, you know that there was another assassination of a general over there, and we're gonna talk about it. So stay tuned, and we'll be back.
Whistling tunes, we're kissing baboons in the jungle. It's a knockout. If looks could
How you doing, Dr. Churchill? You all right?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
How are you?
Conversation. I think we got it rolling.
Good evening,
now.
AM Talk listeners in
I was
Seattle,
worried.
Bellevue, Redmond, Issaquah,
Hey.
Greater East Side, and I-5 corridor. This is Matthew Melton of Matthew Melton's Democracy Show, here on Sunday nights at AM 1150. And do you need moving help right now? Well, if you do, call haullitco.com. That's all lowercase, HAULITCO.com. That's right, haullitco.com for your local moves, moving help, and also your small interior moves. Call haullitco.com at 425-753-1743 for friendly, affordable moving service. Use our backs, save yours. But sometimes last-minute moves are okay. Just call and ask at 425-753-1743. That's haullitco.com and ask for Dave. We're moving people to new places, so let's get moving.
Hello, Alternative Talk Radio listeners. This is Matthew Melton, your host of Matthew Melton's Democracy Show, live here on Sunday nights on 11:50 a.m. KKNW. And I want to tell you about this great new app. It's called Sheerganic, and it's at the Apple App Store now. And I also have to tell you that you're going to love it. People out there are out of work right now, and it's pretty frugal in my opinion. So I'm going to lay it on the line. Why buy when you can rent? Also, do you want to make a few bucks or more? Maybe listing things that you own but don't use much, like mountain bikes, kayaks, motorcycles, hoverboards, and you name it. It can be a rental on Sheerganic.com. That's Sheerganic, now the #1 app to buy, sell, trade, rent, and rent out items. Download Sheerganic today in the Apple App Store or go to Sheerganic.com. Also coming soon to Google Play Store. Sheerganic, 100% homegrown sharing. Think of finding a private rental on Sheerganic.com when you want to go powerboating and skiing one summer weekend. And that's just one example. Sheerganic, for everything you ever wanted to use and never wanted to have to buy. Or be entrepreneurial and rent out your unused stuff. Try Sheerganic. Dr. Churchill, did you want me to say that you're an expert on Iran, or are you just knowledgeable?
Yes, I'm knowledgeable, yes.
Hello, listeners of KKNW. That's 1150 on your AM dial, here on Sunday nights at 6 p.m. And did you want to know who is tops in home organizing and as a local cleaning service in Seattle? Try Seattle Home Organizing Wiz. That's Seattle Home Organizing Wiz at 206-430-0240. And you'll be impressed by the courteous and hardworking staff who want to take on all of your tough jobs, as well as one-time appointments and weekly and bi-monthly and monthly scheduled cleanings. Seattle Home Organizing Wiz also wants to organize your home and office.
How do you say it?
Call them at 206-430-0240.
Moshe.
206-430-0240. Seattle Home Organizing Wiz. That's all lowercase.
About 10 seconds.
And ask for Denina.
Want to hear something different from talk radio? Keep your dial on Alternative Talk 1150.
Moshe, Fakridaze.
Faktineza.
Fakridaza.
Faktineza.
Fakridaza. Is that correct?
Put it in writing on the chat, and I'll tell you to you again. Write it up.
Moshe Fakridaza.
Yes,
is that correct?
Write it on the chat box.
Games without frontiers, war without tears.
Where's this? More. I'm trying to write it. Hold on. Chat.
The bed will end in about 10 seconds.
Okay. They all have hills to fly them on, except for Lintayu.
Welcome back to Matthew Melton's Democracy Show. This is Matthew Melton, and thank you for choosing Live Talk in the Northwest, 11:50 a.m. KKNW. And this is the second half of my 1 hour show. Stay tuned for another exciting 30 minutes. And I'll be giving out the station numbers momentarily. You can be a caller tonight. Feel free. The lines are open. Station numbers are 425-373-5557. Toll free in Western Washington, 888-298-5569. And for the second half, we'll be reintroducing my special guest of the evening, Dr. Pano Churchill, grandson of victorious World War II leader Sir Winston Churchill, and also father of the Lincoln Party of Independence, which is based in Washington, D.C. Welcome back, Dr. Churchill.
Thank you for having me.
Hello.
Hello.
You bet. It's always a pleasure and a privilege. And I know that you're knowledgeable on this subject, and that's why I'm very excited to have you here this evening. And I know that you are available for callers, and can you verify that you are you're happy to have some callers tonight?
Absolutely, we would love to have some people.
Okay, so I'll be giving out station numbers again and asking for callers to chime in. Let's get into this second subject. So there was another assassination in the nation of Iran. So earlier in the year, we had that. I guess he was almost at a point of retirement. The Quds leader, the General Soleimani, who America had assassinated and then took credit for having assassinated. And now we've had the Moshe Fakhrizadeh.
Indeed.
Yeah, sorry if I can't get that name correct, but okay. So he was the head of research and innovation at Iran's Ministry of Defense, and was also viewed internationally as the head of Iran's nuclear weapons program. So the head of Iran's nuclear weapons program. So he was no small figure in the Iranian government. He was right up at the top of the chain there, where in the military, where defense is concerned, and decision making is probably concerned as well, and reporting to the government, of course, which is Tehran. Okay, so I guess the first thing that came to mind is: are we going to have to be concerned about experiencing blowback from Tehran over this assassination? And I don't believe that we've claimed any. We haven't made any claims about America taking responsibility for it yet, have we? Or do you know?
I know for a fact that we are not responsible for this particular event. I know for a fact that this was not done by our intelligence international agencies. And I can state unequivocally that this was a scientist who was, of course, involved in the subversive small nuclear program of Iran. He's not the lead nuclear scientist for the official nuclear development program of Iran. He was the unofficial leader of, let's call it more like a small device, nuclear bombs, as in dirty bombs for terrorist purposes to be unleashed worldwide. So yes, he was very much not a good actor, because this was a very illegal program, and it was a program that creates terror throughout the world. And of course, why would anybody want to be manufacturing dirty bombs in Iran? Well, you can put the two and two together and make it 2 and 2 plus equals 47. So I don't know, you can go down the path of conspiracies, but there is quite a possibility that because this was a man who was leaky as a sieve towards the knowledge that he had and towards other people outside, and perhaps he was the one that we know now that he wanted to escape Iran, I believe he was assassinated by his own people in a red herring act to create, the subterfuge and the idea that the great Satan, the United States, is responsible for this murder. As you might recall, in the last instance on January 7th, when Iran downed an aeroplane leaving Tehran at 5 a.m., 4:30 a.m. in the Tehran time, they brought it down with 4 missiles from the local missile batteries around the airport before the thing flew over the Yavruz Mountains, and all 167 people on board died. And initially, Iran also blamed the great Satan, the United States, for this, claiming that it was hit with a missile from outside. However, there was video taken with a cell phone from a local person on the ground that showed the trajectory of the missiles bringing down the airliner, that they came from the periphery in the mountains around the airport of Tehran. That was undisputable evidence that it was leaked to Reuters and the Western media, and finally the Persian government, the Ayatollahs, had to admit that they brought down their own plane, and of course they blame it as an accidental shooting by some operator of the missile batteries that had fat fingers. It seems to be that this is the most common excuse that military intelligence can come up, that these computer operators, they always have very fat fingers and they hit the wrong buttons. It's laughable, but we've done it. United States has done it, and so does China and Russia and of course Iran. So, when you hear that, you have to scratch your head and say, okay, now I can figure out what happened. So there is clear evidence that it was the Persians, the Iranians who did that thing, the dastardly act of killing 167 innocent people as they are escaping Tehran before the shutdown of the airport back in the day when this other guy, Soleimani, was killed in Baghdad airport. And in this time, this guy was also, we believe, killed by his own people in order to prevent him from escaping Iran and spilling the beans about the secret nuclear terrorism program that Tehran has unleashed against the world.
Okay, but it sounds like America may be scapegoated. So do we have anything to fear because these axis of evil nations are habitually just scapegoating America for everything that goes wrong, especially pertaining to assassinations?
Of course, this is exactly the purpose. The book was written way past in the past, in the Acts of Jericho and the Israelites, the Gulf of Tonkin, it was also a false flag operation. And this is a false flag operation that they're going to use as an excuse in order to unleash terror upon, the Western democracies and our country and the world. So, of course, we know what they're going to do, but it will be revealed that this is the purpose for this, and this being a false flag operation, it is just an excuse. How far are they going to go with it? I believe not very far. I believe they are not ready to engage the world right now in a time into which the oil revenue is low, and perhaps for them, they understand that this would be a way to boost up the oil prices, but that is unlikely. We are not going to have a repeat of 1973 because the United States is today self-sufficient in energy. So there is a lot of factors that militate against Iran taking any action in this situation any more than they took any action when Soleimani was drowned by a overflying drone in Baghdad, outside of Baghdad airport. They just let it pass. They did some customary response. But the big thing they did again, they killed their own people then, as they are doing now. So I don't know what is wrong with these people, but this theocratic mentality causes some mental difficulties on the leaders of
and
Iran.
They are militant theocracy, not like,
yes,
for instance, Tibetan theocracy, which is a faith and peaceful theocracy.
Of course, very different stories, and naturally, Iran has crossed all kinds of lines that they were ever constituted in terms of agreements, so they cannot very well be trusted, neither holding on to an agreement or actually doing what is necessary as a reasonable nation. So I think we are going to have a long next 6 months to a year of dealing with Iran's acts of subterfuge, because it's a far bigger enemy of ours and far more difficult and intransigent than North Korea could ever be, because North Korea is just a client state of China. And we know how to deal with the communists in China. You know how to make agreements, and you know how to get them to the negotiating table. And they do have an interest to negotiate. But Iran, you can't deal with those terrorists because they believe in some teleological future into which, if they bring the end of the world, somehow they will become victorious in paradise, and there would be some kind of amazing banquet with many plates of rice pilaf with saffron and something like, I think, 72 virgins waiting for each one of them, martyrs of this war. And I say to my Iranian Muslim friends who are jihadists and they're going to get the virgins from paradise, I say there was a translation mistake from the old Kaddish, when it was written at the time of the Prophet by his followers. And when you get to paradise after killing people, you are not being met with 72 virgins and big plates of pilaf. You are rather met by one 72-year-old virgin with uncooked rice. And good luck with that.
Well, hey, while I have you on the air still, I know that you and I have talked about what a dirty bomb is off the air, but I was wondering if you could explain on the air to the audience, because the average person doesn't know what the difference is between a dirty bomb and say the old Russian Cold War style suitcase nuke is, and what more harm it could cause to our nation. And also, this is something that this particular general, this Moshe Fakhradan, was actually developing. So can you explain what the difference is between this type of bomb, the dirty bomb, and the like a small nuclear weapon that could be carried in but it was never in a suitcase. It was more like a big crate, but they called it a suitcase nuke.
Nonetheless, you understand that in a nuclear bomb, even a small one, like a theater nuclear weapon, is a kinetic weapon. It involves tremendous explosion. It involves, like a mushroom cloud, and all these things. Now, the dirty bomb is exactly the opposite. It doesn't have a big kinetic effect. It doesn't have a mushroom cloud. It doesn't have the unleashing of megatons of power and heat to the people. But what it does, it spreads low-level radiation throughout the area where this little bomb explodes, and it pollutes the people with radiation, which is kind of contagious because one person carries to the next and the automobiles on the streetways carry it and whatnot. And that is quite devastating as a terrorism weapon. And that's so
kind of like COVID spreading around in a nursing home, right?
Well, no, it's a lot more devastating than that because radiation.
More devastating than that. Okay.
Far more. I mean, and it kills people in a very terrible, slow, painful death.
And then there again, it causes lung problems, correct?
No, it causes far more than that. Radiation, surely kills, but of course it affects the lungs as well. What I'm trying to say is I do not want to give people fear and panic in these difficult times. We're approaching the holidays, which is a time of grace. And like I said, today is the first Sunday of the Advent. So let us hope for good things. And the fact that we know about these dirty bombs is because this scientist, who was killed by his own people, he leaked these things out to the world himself in order to, he had a crisis of consciousness and he wanted to escape with his family, Iran, and they killed him themselves in order to not allow him to escape with the secrets. But he's the one who leaked out the secrets about the existence of dirty bombs throughout the world, infiltrated by Persian agents who want to spread chaos and terror in the Western democracies. So that much we know. And
what can America do to, I'm sorry for talking over you. Let me interject. What can America do to defend itself against these portable dirty bombs? We don't want them coming into America. They may already be here. And we've talked about that off the air. And of course, there's a great book out called Chalmers Johnson's Blowback. And
yes.
I always, have fear that these little nations, especially when they're demonizing America, something goes wrong over there and they start scapegoating America, are going to blow back against America. And now we know that they have dirty bombs because of this general who was assassinated.
Yes, I can only tell you that we have an opportunity right now to do the right thing.
Is the right thing closing our borders to them, or do we need to actually get more defensive and actually maybe take the initiative?
In this case, we have to do our own homework. We have to clean our own house. That's where the National Guard is very useful, and everybody else. They have to identify the radiation signature of the people involved with this effort and the locations of where these things might be stored, and diffuse them, take them out of circulation. And our government is very much engaged in that activity as we speak. So let the forces take care, let the things happen as they happen. We have a strong military and a great intelligence capacity, and I believe we will uncover all those things immediately. So
I hope
pray,
that
pray
upon inauguration day, yes,
let's pray and hope that we do not get disrupted at all
for sure
between now and the end of the transitional period. That's all we can say. And let our forces do the job that they are designed to do in find out this. Okay?
Yes, Dr. Churchill. I'm for that. I say keep a level head and calmer heads prevail. However, since this is one of the nations of the axis of evil, they are commonly demonizing America when something like this goes wrong. Of course, I have concerns about blowback. Of course, I've talked to you in the past about the possibility, if there is a possibility, of nuclear weapons being hidden by our enemy nations because our borders are too lax and our countries is too relaxed. The way we're run on the interior, that would be very easy for enemy nations to bring in devices, nuclear or dirty or otherwise, to hide around in our major cities and then use them at their wish, at their whim.
Yes, and
So,
this is the program that this person was responsible for, and I believe his sacrifice is what we benefit from. As I said, I believe he had a change of heart, and he wanted to reveal to the world all the in and outs of this, and that's why he was assassinated by his own Persian people who wanted to shut him up for good. So
sorry.
So I believe, this makes sense now, you understand, because that's how I came to find out about this secret dirty bomb nuclear program of Iran against us and against United Kingdom and the people that they consider responsible for encircling them.
It sounds like he was connected to Quds, which was General Soleimani's organization, and also it sounds like his moral conscience got control of him. And well, I guess we'll have to say a prayer and thank the Lord that it did. So at least now we know
Yes.
what's happening over there. They're actively plotting to bring
Yes.
dirty bombs into the West, or they're at least ready to use at a whim if they want to use them. And then also potentially, because we have been so lax at our borders and we're run so loosely because we're a free nation, it wouldn't be that hard for them to bring in a small device. I'm sure they can be smuggled.
And oftentimes we do things, a little bit too late. So after the horse has bolted, then we close the stable gates, and it doesn't work. So right now we are addressing the issue of the Mexican border after this border has been completely infiltrated for almost 35 years. Anybody can come in and out with all kinds of, weapons, narcotics, or, anything else, smuggling. But what we have not paid attention to is our northern border, which is fairly well unguarded because we rely on the other side to protect us. And that is not happening today. So we have to consider that we have to also look at the northern border where our enemies have taken advantage of, because we are placing all of our emphasis and concentration on the southern border. So, we have to be equally diligent about protecting all sides of our country, not just one side, because it happens to be on the news a lot and it makes for good publicity. And every time, that we get people excited because of a certain immigrant population. The greatest danger is that, unfortunately, we have not paid attention to the largest unprotected border that we have with our neighbors in the north. And that is now something we need to attend to. By no means do I advocate a wall. I just advocate that our Canadian brothers and sisters would pay closer attention to whom they allow to come into their country and consequently into the United States.
Well, I can't argue with that, Dr. Churchill. And I would say that that would be a challenge for the new Biden administration to face. And that should probably be laid on the table in front of them as early as possible, especially in light of this recent assassination, which, assuredly is going to be blamed on America. And they're going to, squeeze as much out of that as they can to hold power and not have to take responsibility for it themselves. And
like the event of downing down the Ukrainian airliner with 167 innocent souls escaping Tehran before the war would assumably, start. They blamed America then, and they are blaming America now because we make a convenient target. When you're in leadership in the world, when you're in the pole position, your back becomes full of arrows, like a porcupine or like St. Francis, because, everybody, hates you. We happen to have many enemies because of jealousy, because of people wanting to unseat us and to replace us with something else, if not themselves. But we have never met such a determined foe, such a determined enemy as in the existing regime of Iran with the theocratic mullahs. They are far worse, as I said, than Korea, China, Russia, or anyone else, because you can reason with all the other people I mentioned. You cannot reason with Persian theocratic terrorists. Impossible. I make a terribly politically incorrect joke sometimes. I say, even with pregnant women, you can sometimes reason with, but you cannot reason with terrorists.
That's a great analogy there, Dr. Churchill. And it's getting towards the top of the hour. I've just been informed, and we started the show late, so I'm sorry that we haven't had the full hour to talk about these subjects. But there's next week, and you're invited back next week if you choose to join the show. I'd love to have you on board. And I'll just have to say good evening. And it's been a very informative show. And I thank all of you for listening. And that was Dr. Churchill of the Lincoln Party. And of course, he is grandson of Sir Winston Churchill, of the he was a victorious leader of World War II. And this is Matthew Melton, your host of Matthew Melton's Democracy Show. And the show is now coming to an end. I hope that you will join us next Sunday at 6 o'clock for another exciting show. And we'll be back on the air to talk and give out some station numbers again. I hope you wrote them down. If not, you can write them down next week. And
thank you, Matthew.
To chime in.
I am glad to be
Dr.
here.
Churchill.
And I wanted to remind people that my primary interest is public health. I'm a public health doctor, and as such, I care for the well-being of the people, the health of our ecosystem, and certainly the validity of our environment to be maintained for future generations long after we are all gone. And the only way to do that is to avoid nuclear weapons at any cost. And I've devoted a large part of my life, including my lost wife, into that cause. Diminish the proliferation of nuclear weapons throughout the world. And if we can do that, then at least we can count on maintaining our lives in this beautiful green planet for a long time to come. God bless, and God willing, through this Advent that comes today, we can go forward in peace, happiness, and have an enjoyable holiday.
Thank you again, Dr. Churchill.
Thank you.
You have a terrific week, and be safe and be well.
And you too.
I'm Matthew Melton, and that's right.
God bless.
The views expressed on this program are those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of KKNW.